my darling, can you hear me when I say to you? I decided to do this kind of album because I thought, you know, it's about time that I did something like this that was kind of like a story of what I've been doing so far. It's a bit like doing an autobiography in a way. A lot of people write stories about people and it's not necessarily their story, it's somebody else's idea of what it is. And it's the same with albums, you know, that sometimes people put out hits albums or best of albums and they put on the tracks that they think are the right ones. So this was like my idea of putting the songs together, which I thought were the main important song, because to me they represent a kind of an idea of the story of what Chris Norman's done over the years.
So if you think you know how to love me, and you think you know what I need.
When it came to the Smokie tracks, I had to think about which songs to put on. I mean, Smokie had, depending which country you were in, they had about, I guess, 18 hits. But I wanted to just do I did 16 anyway, so there was a lot on. I wanted the major ones were obviously the ones that were the biggest hits. And I basically wanted to do them in the order. So all the songs on the album that were from Smokie starts with If You Think You Know How to Love Me, which is the first big hit we had, and then it carries on in chronological order and the years that they came out.
So if you think you know how to love me, and you think
we were signed to a label called Rack Records in England, and we'd had one single out already, and everybody thought we were going to have a big hit with it because the record label we were on had a reputation for having hits, and it flopped. It wasn't a hit at all. So we then starts to think we're not going to have a hit with this, and we're going to be the first group on this label to fail. Then we recorded If You're Thinking How to Love Me, which was written by Chin and Chapman, and they came along and Mike Chapman played us this song. The first time it didn't sound like anything much. But once we got in the studio with it, and we got the sound of the record and put these harmonies on, which was one of the things about Smokie, the sound of the harmonies. We put the chorus harmonies on, and then we put some strings on it and everything. It suddenly came into a different world, and it sounded fantastic. I remember driving out in the little Mini that I had then, and putting the radio on a Sunday afternoon, and there was a show in England called Pick of the Pops, which was like a forerunner of Top of the Pops, but it was on the radio. And they said, now at number 16 is Smokie, and this song came on. It was like, wow, this is it. We're having a hit, you know. So it was the beginning.
I'll meet you at midnight under the moonlight. I'll meet you at midnight.
When we recorded I'll Meet You at Midnight, we were in Paris in a studio just off the Champs-Élysées. So we had this kind of flavor of France and this kind of little boulevard cafes and stuff. So we got into the mood of it.
A summer evening on the Champs-Élysées, secret rendezvous they planned for days.
We had actually in the studio, when I was singing the song, because there's like lines in it like the Champs-Élysées, and I had to pronounce it right. So we had a girl in who was a French person who was saying I was doing it like Champs-Élysées, and she said, no, it's Champs-Élysées. So I had to do it right. And then there's another line. Jean-Claude was a student at the Université. And if you listen to the record, I do it like this French, Université.
Jean-Claude was a student at the Université. Louise Marie was just...
And it worked.
Mexican girl, don't leave me alone. I got a heart as big as a stone. And I need you, believe me, to be here and love me tonight.
When I wrote Mexican Girl with Pete, and he came, I remember, he had a daughter, he still has got a daughter, called Jenny, or Jennifer. And we were sitting having a writing session, and he said, I've got this idea for this song. I said, well, play it. And he had this, Jennifer came to me last night, and she said, oh, Daddy, move over. And it was about his little girl, who was like 3 or 4 at the time, wanting to move over. She wanted to get into bed with him at night. You know, like your little kid comes in and gets in between mum and dad. And it was a nice tune and a nice idea. So we decided what we're going to write about. So then I had this chorus when Mexican girl, don't leave me alone. And so then we had the verse and the chorus, but Jennifer obviously isn't a Mexican name. So then we thought, we have to change the name. What can we call it, you know? And the first name that sounded Mexican to us was Juanita. Now we changed Jennifer, crossed that out, puts in Juanita, and it starts to become like a love song about some guy who's on holiday who meets a Mexican girl. And that's how the song all came about.
Oh, I don't know why she's leaving or where she's gonna go. I guess she's got
Living Next Door to Alice was a song which we really were never going to record. Mike Chapman, who was our producer, he'd written this song, I don't know, 3 or 4 years earlier for a group in England called they were called New World. The version they did wasn't right, and it didn't sound good, and it didn't sound good on the radio. So it wasn't a hit for them. But Mike Chapman believed this song was a hit, right? So he said to us when we were in America, what about doing Living Next Door to Alice, this song? And we went, oh, it's this New World, we don't want to do that. Yeah, but we can do it different, kind of more like a country and western version. And we release it only in America because the country fans love it, and it'll be huge in the country market. And then you can have like 2 careers. You can have your rock and roll career or pop rock career in Europe, and when you come to America, you can be a country band, right? So we recorded it, and it turned out good. We did it a good, different, completely different. If you ever heard the New World version, you would hardly recognize it as the same song. So then we go to Germany, and EMI in Germany, the label manager, we said, oh, that's great, we're going to put that out as a single. No, you don't, it's for America only. But anyway, everybody throughout the whole of the world, all the different territories, all came back and said, we've got to put this out as a single. So we gave in, we had to really, you know. And then it came out, and they were right, it sold a lot of records. I mean, it sold a huge amount of records and was #1 most countries. And so it was a big, big hit. So all the record company people were right, but we were right too, because that changed us in a bit of a way, because up to then we were like a pop rock group that had a bit of edge. And after that, people saw us in a different way. After that, they saw us in a kind of good old Smokey, you know, sing along with this, you know. And it changed us, and it changed the image of the band. We were doing a little tour with Smokey, and we got back together, and I arranged to go and see our publishers in Germany, in Hamburg. The guy that was the head of Intersong, as it was later, Warner Chappell, said, you know what, there's a guy here that really wants to meet you. And he's in a group called Modern Talking. And we didn't know who Modern Talking was, because Modern Talking were huge in Germany and had like, I don't know, 5 #1s or whatever at this time, but nothing in England. So we didn't know them. And a tall blonde guy comes in, hello, 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 nice to meet you. And he sits down, and it's Dieter Bohlen, right? So he wanted to meet us because he always liked Smokie records and blah, 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 blah. About a week later, I'm now back at home, and I get a phone call from the publishing company, and they said, Dieter Bohlen has written this song for a TV movie, Tatort, and he wants you to sing it. I said, but I don't know this song, you know? What's it like? So, well, we haven't got time to send you it, because we have to have the song in the thing by next Monday, and this was like Wednesday. So we have to record it tomorrow. I actually got on a plane without having heard this song, got off in Hamburg, and they gave me, when I got off the plane at the airport, a cassette. And I took it back to the hotel, and I put it on a Walkman and listened to it in my bedroom in the hotel. And it was a demo of Dieter Bohlen, I think I've still got it somewhere, singing Midnight Lady. So I went into the studio and I recorded it twice, straight through, without, you know, that was great. Thank you. And I thought I was doing a sound check, and it was done. Then I was on tour in Australia, and the record came out. When I came back, it went straight to #2, and then the following week went in at #1. And so it was a huge hit single, and it started my solo career. The first song on the solo stuff is a song called Love is a Battlefield. So automatically we get into this kind of 80s sound, because I was trying to get away from the Smokie thing and do something completely different. As the time went on and we got into the 90s and stuff, I kind of went back a bit and went back towards the Smokie thing to try and go really handmade with like real musicians and real guitars and everything on it. So in fact, in the middle and later on, there isn't such a big difference between what I do in the solo album and what I used to do in the Smokie days. And I thought it would be great to put on some new songs as well, so people who've got a lot of those songs in different formats and that, they get them all at once, plus they get a bunch of new songs. Yeah, Got It All is one of those, and then there's another 3 that we did together, and then another one that we did also for called The Lion King. This Disney's König der Löwen is it's called in Germany, and it's a really great musical. It's got a lot of emotions in it, and this particular song, Endless Night, was this bit where the little lion cub, he's really sort of looking for his father and stuff, and it's very emotional. And so I always liked the idea of it and everything, and the people from the German König der Löwen were looking for something to do with the song, and asked me if I would be interested in singing something from that. So I said immediately, this is the one I want to sing, because this is the one that's got all the emotion in it, and this is the one that sort of moves me. So we took the song and went into the studio I went in the studio with Sandy Strimlian, and we kind of took an idea from, it was a cross between like something from Paul Simon's Graceland, because that was like African, and then also there was like this thing, a record called The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics that had this kind of a chunky thing, and also another song by U2. So that was the idea, and that was the premise of it. So we went in and did this version of it and put all these little African things and some great drum things and congas and everything in it. And it turned out to have like a bit of a rhythm to it now. So we played it then to the musical people, and they thought it was great. And then we just had to get everybody to be happy with the way that we'd done it, that we hadn't changed it too much, and they all thought it was great. So there we were with it. We went and finished it off, and it's now going to be the single.
Sleepless, I dream of the day.
So I'm going to start touring, first of all in Germany. The album comes out in February, and then I follow up with the album release to start the tour in March the 24th. It's the first show, which is in Aurich, and then I go all over Germany. Then I go to Austria, and then Switzerland. So it's all like the Germany, Austria, Switzerland territory first, and then depending where the album is out next, it may be Australia then during the summer or whatever, and then maybe Scandinavia, and then, you know, and just follow it around. And I'm going to be doing just about all the songs on this album, because it's such a lot of songs on there. It's a double album, obviously. And I'll probably start off with a couple of new ones, and then go into do some smoky ones, then go back to some solo stuff, then come back with some new stuff. And it'll be going backwards and forwards like that. So I'm looking forward to it, because I'll be doing a lot of songs that I haven't done for a long time, and a lot of different things. It's going to be fun to do. And this album, it's more like the story up to now. And maybe in another 20 years, I'll do another one for the next 20 years, which would be great, you know, to be still around. As far as I'm concerned, as long as I feel good and I can still do it, I'm a long way off yet before I want to stop.